Hey guys, Eric here. This video is going to be pretty straightforward, fairly simple. How to get a man to do what you want him to do when he does not listen after asking him 3 times to do something. Trust me, we're all the same. We're not all the same. We're not all the same, Mom. There are a few. You might get lucky and find a catch, or you'll find a man who's willing to do what you ask him to without having to ask him because he knows you. But most of the time, you have to ask a man more than once to do something, and that's the first thing. Um, man, a man is very straightforward in our thinking. Women, you think in circles more or less. If there was a way for you to say what's on your mind without dancing around the topic, or rather talking in circles, then we probably wouldn't have a lot of the miscommunications that we do most of the time, between men and women, because it's just psychologically different. The way that our brain works isn't quite the same. Men think in straight lines. A equals B. There's no A plus X equals 72, and then you do this long quadratic equational bull crap that they teach you in math to try to make you a smarter person and help you in life. Newsflash, it doesn't help you in life. It does not. It's completely unnecessary. I mean, you go into accounting, you're not solving things with quadratic equations most of the time. I mean, you may use some of what you've learned, but the point is, you don't need that. Why am I telling you about mathematics? I'm sorry for getting off track. Women, you talk in circles. It's like you're trying to drive a car on a flying carpet and just get that carpet to like land in one spot, and everything's connected. It's like mom's connected to your dad, and dad's connected to your siblings, and for whatever reason you're thinking about Christmas, and all of a sudden your siblings, like cousin's child who's about to be born, comes into the picture. Did you hear Aunt Susie's gonna be having a baby? Yeah, it's gonna be so. Honey, we're talking about gifts. Oh, I know, but can you just think of these little cute? Oh, I can't. We should have a baby. Man's like, what the heck, right? I get it. I get it. You're like, everything's connected. It just kind of like goes in circles, and it's not the same for men. For men, we think in straight lines. We're thinking Christmas, gifts, okay, problem solved, there's no longer anything to talk about. So a man shuts up, and then you keep talking. Goes in one ear, out the other, okay. And say, honey, why didn't you take out the trash? What? I thought you were going to do it. And then you're standing there tapping your foot. Uh-huh. Okay. Did you even hear what I said last night, our discussion? And so what, you mean about the Christmas presents? Woman slaps her face, right? It's just normal. It happens all the time in every relationship. So, first thing, how to get a man to do what you want him to do. Tell him twice. Ask him twice. Because likely what happened is, let me explain something to you women. Men have the ability to think of absolutely nothing and still breathe. A study was done where brain waves were monitored. I think it's called an EEG. They hook up the wires to the person. They monitor your brain waves. Yeah, well, a man had the ability to think of absolutely nothing and still breathe. His brain waves actually flatlined. My cat just meowed at me. Brain waves actually flatlined. And they said, I think we lost him. And they started going it, and he's this man whose brain was actually just not working at all. I mean, it was working, but like it wasn't. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. I think you're getting what I'm trying to say. So when you're talking to a man, if we're thinking in straight lines, and in our mind we've already gotten to the end of the equation, A equals B, we're like, all right, A equals B, the mathematical problem is solved, it's over with. 0 equals 0, we're done. And then you're still talking, but it goes in one ear and out the other because we're not processing information anymore. We stop processing information. And it's what I call the nothing box. Another marriage counselor has used this term, but I use it as well. Explain it a little bit differently. Basically, Men having the ability to think of absolutely nothing is what I call the nothing box. It's when anything on the outside does not reach the inside of the box. There's nothing inside this box. When I'm playing my video games and I'm just trying to like forget about Earth or forget that I even exist on planet Earth, sometimes I'll put on headphones, blast music, and just play my game. And I'm not thinking about anyone, I'm not thinking about anything, I'm just having fun playing a game. Or same thing whenever you're watching TV or fishing. I'm not one who likes to go fishing, but I do love to be in nature and just stop thinking. I understand that this is I've met a couple and I have heard about a few women who kind of are able to do the same thing where they just stop thinking, but for the most part, women aren't able to do this because everything's connected. Their emotions are constantly leading them to think about something. But anyways, we're talking about men today. How to get a man to do what you want him to do. Tell him twice. He probably didn't hear you. He was probably focused on something else, and he's no longer thinking about what you're trying to tell him. And I understand this is a very exasperated, long-winded video, but it's because this isn't an easy topic to just like discuss unless you understand why it needs to happen. And also because I want you to understand we're not little devils out to get you, trying to make your life miserable. He never listens to me. Every time I come home, he's standing there staring at the TV and never says a word. And then you break down crying, and all of a sudden, he doesn't love us, and our marriage is falling apart, and it's all because he doesn't care about anything I have to say. He genuinely probably isn't even thinking about it. That's likely what's happening. And I want you to understand this because we are not women, and we are not a woman in a suit. We don't think like you. We literally, our brain is set up differently. We're not little devils trying to make your life miserable. I came home today and found you doing dishes. Let me make your life miserable. That's not what we're thinking. Okay, we're probably very, very thankful, but most men just don't know how to express their emotions well because society, right? It's how we're raised. Not me. I'm special. That's half a heart. I'm holding my phone. I am that was embarrassing. Let's forget that just happened. Be understanding with your man, please. Please be understanding with us. We're not trying to kill you or hurt you or ignore you. We are men. We're men. We don't. Leela? Sorry, my cat was making noise. I was checking on her. We're men. All right, we're not going to think. You're going to have to tell us more than once. It's long-winded because for a woman this is a foreign concept. We're not going to get it. We are not going to get it. Just give up on trying to get us to get it. We're not going to. Tell us more than once. All right, number 2. Appeal to our pride and our ego. There's one thing that a man loves, it is praise. It is being told we've done something right and being told we do something well. It's real simple. Appeal to a man's pride. I'll give you an example. I was at work, invited to a murder mystery night. Had no clue what this was. Turns out it's live action roleplay, like Dungeons and Dragons. I do that all the time. I'm thinking, yeah, awesome, let's do it. Well, kind of fell through, but that's not the point. A woman named Judy, who works with me on my job, was like, "Hey, Eric, I think you're gonna be the best one there." I'm thinking. She said, "Are you coming?" I'm like, I don't know. Large crowds, loud noises, lots of drinking. Ugh, not my thing." And she said, "Well, I think you should come." And I said, well, maybe not, maybe though." She said, "Yeah, you would be the best one. It'd be a shame if you don't show up." I said, "Me be the best? Why? What makes you say that?" And she said, "Well, because you're very spontaneous, and I don't know, you just make me laugh." I'm thinking to myself, I'm a pretty awesome guy. Yeah. I guess. I guess I could be the life of the party for them. Do it for them. They need me there. And I said, okay, and I went because of that. That was like the only reason, one of the only reasons that I went. So it's real simple. It's real simple. Stroke his ego. Men aren't hard to keep happy. We're really not. To a woman, we may seem very sophisticated, and we really aren't. We're not that complicated. And I understand women are really not that complicated if you can understand them, but the fact is, men will never think like a woman. We can just become bilingual enough to understand how you think and what you need. And it's kind of the same way. Same thing with a woman here. Listen, we're very straightforward, very because we think A equals B, we're not thinking. My bangs look really nice right now. Because we're thinking A equals B, about we're not thinking about the complexities of a relationship and the emotional value of things so much as if there is a problem that is keeping me from achieving my goal, I therefore must solve the problem so that I can achieve my goal or complete the task. So that brings me to my third thing: how to get a man to do what you want him to do. Speak bilingually enough for him to understand you. Most of the time, the conversations I have had with women go something like this. And just so you know, because there's not an easy way for me to do this with my hair as short as it is right now, this is going to be, I'm so sorry. Forgive, this is not an insult. This is going to be the image of the woman. And this will be the image of the man. All right, let's get right into it. Most of my conversations with women go something like this. So, I was thinking that maybe we could do something later this evening. Not really sure if I want to be doing anything this evening. I was thinking maybe movie and a couch. Somewhere we could maybe be a little bit closer to each other, talk, maybe get to know each other a bit more. Wait, you mean like talk and then watch a movie? Or you mean like dinner? Are you asking me to go to like the movies and then go back to your house and have dinner and talk? Or dinner would be nice. I can cook for us. So you're gonna take me back, we're going back to your house after we watch a movie. Are we going out to the movie cinema to watch? What movie do you want to watch? I was thinking maybe we could just stay at my place and watch one. Sure, we can do that. And the night ends with the man leaving because he didn't realize that his friend was asking him out on a date. That was a very lighthearted example of what I'm talking about, but it's to kind of paint a general sense. You, when you're talking to a man, men love to be told directly what someone. We hate hints. We hate it whenever you basically ask us to read your emotions and figure out what you're thinking. It's a headache because one, we can't. We don't know how. We don't think like you. We're not women in a suit. We're never going to figure it out. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And you know what? Even if we could figure it out, simple fact of the matter, some men just don't want to try. We perfectly content being lazy and not doing anything because nothing box. And if a man had an option, he would run to his nothing box every time. Ladies, what I'm trying to say is this: men are lazy sometimes, and we quite frankly don't want to put in the energy where we don't have to because we don't feel like we're getting anything out of it. If we're spending our energy to try to figure you out, you know what that tells us? I'm doing more work than she is in this relationship, and it's going to fall apart. That's how a man thinks. A equals B. And if I am doing all the work 100% of the time to figure out what B equals, then you are not doing your part. And that is where a lot of communication issues happen in a relationship between a man and a woman, and sometimes why relationships fall apart. Men hate it when women hint at things. We don't get it. We are not dense, as you would put it. We are different psychologically, and we don't think like you. And with all due respect, newsflash, we're never going to understand you in the way you think. Yes, we can learn about it. Yes, we can become bilingual enough to communicate with you in your language, but men don't speak the same language as a woman. And that's never going to change. And until you can understand that your language is incompatible with a man's brain waves or brain lengths, wavelengths. Wow, why was that so difficult? Until you can understand that your language is incompatible with a man's uh, brain's wavelengths, then you are going to have a very, very difficult time getting him to do anything you want him to do. Because it goes in one ear, tries to be processed, and then says, air, and goes out the other ear. B is left as a question mark. A equals B. You try to figure that out on a mathematical equation. It doesn't work. You can solve if you give me, if I know what A equals and I know what B equals, I can put 2 and 2 together and come to a conclusion. Men excel at doing one thing at a time. Women, you can multitask great for most women. You can multitask. You can juggle multiple emotions and topics at once in a conversation. Most of the time, men can't. We can't do it. You can't say A equals X and therefore X equals C over D divided by 27 equals B. We're like, what the heck? Why are you jumping around the conversation? In our mind, you've just given us a headache, a literal headache sometimes. And you've given us work that we don't even want to do. We shouldn't have to do it. It's unnecessary in our mind. You're creating a problem, and now the man attacks you because you're not bilingual enough to speak with us. And man, you've got to watch out for this because you will attack the woman if you become frustrated. And that's what happens. He becomes frustrated and feels like he's not being heard, he's not being understood, and then he attacks his wife, and then she gets upset because she feels like she's not being validated and her emotions don't matter. And as a result of her emotions not being heard, she feels like she's misunderstood, so she attacks his manhood, and then he shuts down, and then she shuts down, and they get into, and then they fall away, and it's like we're just not working out anymore. Yeah, I know. Wonder what happened to us. And then they can't figure it out because they're both trapped in their own little caves in their own little heads. She goes and talks to all of her girlfriends. Yeah, man, you don't understand what a man gotta be a man, gotta be a man. Girl, let me tell you how a man's gonna be. He's gonna be a man no matter what you say, no matter what you do. Man gotta be a man, gotta be a man. Then the man goes and talks to his friends. The man, I just don't get it anymore. She's just never listening to me, and I feel like I just can't get through to her. And then, guys, you know what? You need to go forget about this problem. Go have a few shots, go home, wake up tomorrow, and take care of it then. Because men go to their nothing box to recharge. That's how they process their information and deal with their problems. They don't deal with it because the problems take care of themselves. And if it doesn't take care of themselves, then he figures out how to take care of the problem. But whenever we can't figure out what B equals, we stop trying. Do you understand? A man will stop trying. So if you can't communicate with him in a way that he can understand what you are saying, it is like speaking German to an English speaker. It doesn't work. It is like speaking Spanish to a Japanese speaker. They're going to just be completely lost. It's the same concept. You have to become bilingual. All right, and man, this is a warning for you because when this happens, you have to understand that she's not a man. All right, she doesn't think like a man, and I understand that you get this because A equals B. Women, not men. Clicks. All right, I got everything. Got everything in between. If there's a line here and a line there, everything in between A and B, clicks. I've got it all. Women are not men. So whenever they're going on these tangents, you recognize this, but whenever she doesn't stop going on the tangents, you become frustrated and yell at her or get upset with her because she is making your life difficult for you and giving you more work than you have to do. And now all of a sudden, there's a bunch of other equations thrown in, and C equals Z, and Y is equivalent to A. And you're trying to figure out, hold on, just take it, step back. 4 sentences ago, you were talking about what, the kids? No, like, Johnny got picked on, bullied again. How long are you going to let this bullying go on? And the man shuts down. You can't do it. Can't do it. One equation at a time. Can't do it. And then he walks away, and you're like, why don't you care about this family? He does care. You are overwhelming him. You cannot speak to a man this way and expect him to answer you. Men need to be 1, remember what I said, praise, 2, ego, 3, speak to them bilingually. It's pretty simple. Do not usurp a man's authority. I am not talking about man being head of the household. Do not jump to conclusions. Listen carefully. I am trying to help you here. Do not put up guards just because I said that. Do not usurp a man's authority when he is driven by testosterone. It makes him competitive and he needs to win. And when he feels like he's not winning, he doesn't know how to fix that problem. It is inside of him. It is genetical and it is a hormone, just like you get on your period. You can't help it. He can't help it. He can't help it. And if you want him to meet your needs, you need to understand that this is not something he can help. And men, for you to get an idea of what a woman goes through monthly, she can't help her hormones. I want you to think about the worst failure in your life, something you could never ever do. And now I want you to pick yourself up and go do it. You probably just hit rock bottom in your head. Welcome to a woman's menstrual period. She can't help it. Her emotions are everywhere, and it's not her fault, and they will regulate themselves, but whenever she gets angry and then sad and then breaks down and cries, now you know why. Alright? She's not trying to make your life miserable. She is not trying to add problems to your life. She's talking because she's not a man. She doesn't think like a man. And until you can understand that women are consistent, but their emotions waver quite a bit. And I'm not saying women cannot be grounded. I'm saying they have a completely different set of hormones in their body that cause them, with all due respect, to just go off the wall sometimes. And you know what? It doesn't happen without a trigger. Sometimes their hormones are the trigger, but most of the time it is a man not being bilingual enough, or their inner social circle not understanding them or treating them right, or it is their work environment that stresses and drives them crazy, or it is their children that never listen to them. There is a stressor for both sides. But men, I need you to understand that when a woman gets upset with you, that is their emotions going in circles. A does not equal B with a woman. Just because she's upset with you does not mean she is upset with you. You have to figure out the reason. You have to figure out in her mind, when did her emotions start? When did she start becoming agitated? And you trace it back to while she was talking to you, and you said okay and gave her a one-word answer, that she started getting upset. She probably feels like you didn't really, what was important to her wasn't important to you. There's the stressor. All right? Women are not complicated creatures. Men are not complicated creatures. But if you don't understand one another, and you're not bilingual enough to understand one another, it's going to be a pretty complicated ride. It's going to be like a roller coaster with riding on gravel. It's not going to be a gentle breeze. It's not going to be a fun ride, and you're going to struggle in your relationships with each other. So women, when you're talking to a man, like that skit that I had earlier, A equals B. Tell him, well, I'll put it to you this way, in sales terms, because sales is a perfect example. Men, again, are territorial. They want to win, and they can excel in sales, doing one thing at a time, knowing what they're doing, who their target audience is, and focusing on that target audience at a time. Not 20 different audiences, one. Tell them, and I'm not saying do this to a husband. I'm laying a foundation. Tell them what you're going to do it. Tell them what you told them. Pretty straightforward. Tell them what you're going to do it. Tell them what you told them. With a man, it's a very similar concept. Tell him what you want. Make sure he understands what you want. Let him do what you asked him. That's simple. Honey, I'd like to go on a date tonight. You can pick wherever the diner is, but I'd like to have a movie back at my house, and I'd like to cook dinner for us. He gets it. There's no communication errors, no hinting. He knows what you want, A equals B, and he will give it to you, and he will go the extra mile because he knows what you want. Now he can win. Now a man's not losing. Now his testosterone, he wants to win, and it makes him want to win. And whenever he feels like he's winning, praise him for what he does right. Just go ahead, stroke it. It's fine to stroke a man's ego. Don't let it get to your head. I understand it. I get it. It's a man thing. It's a guy thing. I get it. But try not to let it get to your head. It's not attractive.
Don't you judge me. You know what I mean. You know the struggle is real, and you know it's. Don't puff out your chest. I'm gonna let it get to my head. Just chill. Just tone down those hormones a little bit, guys. And when he knows what you want, he'll do it and he'll do it well. But you have to let him know. You can't expect him to read your mind. If he does the dishes and then you get upset because he didn't, you said, why did he do the dishes? And guy said, I just got tired of seeing them there. And then you get all upset. I wanted him to say he did it because he loved me. Don't, just chill. The motives of he's a guy. He's a man. He's not a woman in a suit. He's not going to do it because he loves you most of the time. Sometimes he might. But again, that's just like him doing it because he loves you is complicated. That's complicated to a man. That is very complicated. That's not a problem. That's an equation. The problem is there are dishes in the sink. They need to be done. Therefore, I will do the dishes. The dishes are done. The trash needs to be taken out because the trash can is full. Therefore, I will take it out. A week earlier, the trash can is only half full. It is not a problem. Therefore, I will leave the trash can sitting out for another 7 days, and I may or may not try pushing the trash down to put it off for another week until I have to do it, because right now, it is not a problem. Moves on with his life and leaves the basket of clothes that I do not need to put my clothes away because I can pull out a shirt at any time I feel like and put it on my body and go to work. Therefore, my basket of clothes does not need to be empty. I can put my dirty laundry on the floor because it does not need to go into a basket. At any time, I can pick it up and put it into a basket. Therefore, I do not need to put it away right now. It is not a problem that needs addressed. It is on the floor. I can still go to the bathroom. I can still sleep. I can still eat. I can still go to work. And I can still see my children and drive my car. It is not keeping me from doing anything that I want to do, and therefore I do not need to do my laundry. Welcome to a man's brain.